Hello Internet, it is Angel Michael and welcome to the Power Rangers Beast Morphers Episode 2 review. And if you didn't know, we are doing this on the second channel, maybe on this channel, and I'm going to be posting this on the channel. And if you guys want to see this, I might have to replace some things so that way I can niche this down a little bit more. Or I can just keep it on here. Really, I can just, interact with the community and go from there. So, this is going to be a Sunday thing. After last week's video did pretty well, I'm going to probably do this one and put it on this channel to see what happens. So, if you like these reviews, make sure you leave a like. Now, let's get into today's video. So, we kick things off in Power Rangers Episode 2 with the recap of last episode, really, for about 2 minutes. And basically, it is a narration of how exactly the episode from last time happened. And then zoom in 2 minutes later, and we are on the episode called Evox's Revenge. Now, the title itself seems like Evox might be coming back to town, but really it didn't do that. And I feel like this is more like their attempt to get Evox back into town, where the laboratory is, that way he can create more evil rangers that are super powered and kill everybody. But that is not going to happen. And as we see, the very first shot is in the CyberDimension. That's right. Why did I say CyberDivision? I said CyberDimension. That's right. They got teleported to the CyberDimension where Blaze and Roxy got teleported to, and they are helmetless. So basically, it's Blaze and Roxy talking like normal, like as if, their bodies have their avatars, and their avatars have their voices, I guess. So then we had this little talk with all them, and as you can see, Nate made the simulator where Devon was playing through the battle simulator where he can go through and play a video game, and then the commander shows them the Beast Bots. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our Beast Bots, we have our sidekicks. Jax is the yellow rabbit that is going to be following Zoe around, and she is also her main companion whenever she gets into her Megazord and her Zord, which we'll talk about that later. Then we have Smash, which is the blue gorilla that's going to be following Ravi, and like I said, all of these Beast Bots are going to follow the Rangers to whenever they go in their Zords. And we have Cruz, which is Devon's little side Beast Bot, and he's going to go into his Zord. And so Blaze is also the second command. So as we see, Blaze and the second command leader, which I didn't quite catch his name. So the second in command leader is talking about Blaze, about how they have MorphX and how their main mission now is to go back to where they came from to get more MorphX to free Evox. But Blaze and Roxy both have enough MorphX to go back and forth from the world they were at to the distant little CyberDimension. And then, once they have enough MorphX, they can eventually free Evox, if that's the case. So, basically they morph and teleport out to the dimension, and this is where we get to see our first fight. So the Rangers, before then, also got to meet their Zords. So as you can see, the Yellow Ranger has a helicopter, Blue Ranger has this little fire truck tank thing, which has a little helicopter pad on it, and then the Red Ranger has a car. So that looks pretty cool as well. And now the main mission of Blaze Ranger is exactly what I said. The main mission of Blaze Ranger is to get enough MorphX to free Evox from the dimension. And that leads us to our very first break, where we see the three Rangers see Blaze and this second in command leader, and we go to our break. Then we have an unmorphed fight with the minions and the Rangers. The Rangers fight for a little bit, and then the Blue and Yellow Ranger then morph and then compete as the leader, because Ravi and Zoe both feel like they could eventually be the leaders of Power Rangers. And so, while they're both occupied, Devon is going and fighting the second in command leader, but then before then, somehow, the second in command leader escapes for a little bit and uses the Evox virus and turns a pile of tires into a main villain. So I like the creativity of how they had this Evox virus that literally can turn anything into a corrupt villain. So it makes it seem like this MorphX that they can use can turn either anyone into a superpower, a superhero, or to a supervillain. Like kind of like this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle feel to it, where you had this green stuff. I forgot what it was called, but if it got into anywhere, basically that radioactive stuff got on anywhere, and they could turn into a supervillain for obviously no reason. But then the Turtles somehow had enough good in their heart to turn into superheroes instead of supervillains. And so now we go into our first cinematic morph. So that little morph where they have this little hurricane going around, little tornado thing, you have the little faces of the animals going into them, and that's how we get our first actual morph with a little sun visor going in like that. I like it like that. And then they have a little fight. They get rid of all the minions. However, Ravi then starts to get overheated and starts to become really, really aggressive towards both the Rangers and all of the enemies. And then Devon sees a little dog and just freezes all of a sudden. And then Zoe just runs out of energy. And so the Rangers then unmorph and Ravi loses control of himself. And we go to our second break. So really we have this little problem. It's like, why did I have to do this? Like, really, usually you would see this thing where our villain for the week basically beats up the Rangers, leaves, and then comes back and gets defeated. We didn't get this. We got this interesting thing where these three Rangers had their own little conflict with themselves. And then both Blaze and the second in command leader both escaped. And then also our little Tire Hero, I'll call him Tire Hero. Tire Hero then, you know, gets downed, and so he is down for the count. And so we come back from our third break, and Ravi and Zoe get taken down, but Devon says that the comics saved Ravi and Zoe from the Tronics. So basically, I'm not too for sure why I wrote take down the comics, but I think what that means is basically Devon takes down them two. And I think down from what Nate said, he said maybe the animal DNA got mixed into what they had. And so basically with that DNA, because cats are afraid of dogs, Devon freezes every time he sees a dog. Ravi gets worked up because of a gorilla. Whenever it gets mad, it works up itself. And then a jackrabbit has a lot of energy, but when it loses energy, it will eventually, you know, become overheated and tired. And so Devon then has to fight the mega evil robot with his own Zord. So, mostly before those two get rezzed, basically Devon gets into his little car and his motorcycle with his Beast Bot, gets into the Zord, and now he has his own robot. So, that's one cool thing we saw there. Dogs make Devon freeze up, and as we see before, we go to where Zoe and Ravi are somehow getting themselves enough energy, basically. They go in and they basically get their own Zords after Zoe eats a carrot, and Ravi just told, hey, you know, we don't have much of a cure, but if you don't work yourself up, you'll be great. And so they both get up and go and fight, and they both get in their Zords, and Zoe and Ravi at first are really trying to fight each other still to become the leader, but then they get themselves together, and then they move on to fight off the Tire Hero. And so after the Tire Hero gets knocked into Devon, Devon is unfrozen, and he beats up the Tire Hero and finishes off the Tire Hero with his Cheetah Blaster that is in his Zord. So really, that's a really nice end to this episode, and that is our second episode. So, yeah, I was trying to remind myself what exactly happened with my note, and so a couple of things I might have mixed up there. So, what do I think about this episode? Well, honestly, it wasn't as, how do I say this? I don't want to say it wasn't as great as the last episode. It was pretty solid. Like, this was still a solid episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, but I think that because the first episode set a really, really, really high bar, and even though that one wasn't perfect, it still was pretty great. But this one, I feel like couldn't reach the bar, but it got really close. And so I don't want to say this was a 3 out of 5 episode. I mean, yes, I would say that this wasn't as, like, this didn't establish a lot, except for the fact that we got to see the Beast Bots, and we did get to see the Beast Megazords, and a little bit more sense into how exactly the Rangers, you know, have their power, since they're this is more of an animal season than anything else, and less of a spy season is what I'm noticing. But it doesn't feel like we're getting much of a spy season like what we did with Go Busters, but it seems more like we're getting more of an animal season, but more like a RPM kind of season, but they're more connected to their animals than anything else. So I feel like I got this vibe of RPM and Jungle Fury both mixed together, and you get like this futuristic animal kind of season, which I'm not opposed to, because I did see a little bit of Jungle Fury and a little bit of Dino Thunder and a little bit of Wild Force. And the animal seasons really, while they're not always my favorite, honestly, I mean, I can deal with it, so I don't have a problem with it as long as it's like, as long as they don't do this thing where they do with Jungle Fury, where they try to channel their inner self, which I think might be one of the episodes, I believe. But at first I thought this was going to be more of a spy season than anything else. It seems like this is more like an RPM kind of season. RPM was a pretty cool season, so hopefully that's the direction Beast Morphers is going in. And with that, I'm probably going to do a decimal probably thing. I don't want to give it a 3 out of 5 because it was more than okay. It was more than a good. It was more than a smack dab in the middle kind of show. This was still good. It's not 2 or 1. I would probably give this a 3.8 out of 5. So I'm probably going to give it more of a 3.8 out of 5. It didn't reach the 4 out of 5 level of being a great episode, but it's more like it was still pretty solid. So I'm probably going to wind up giving this a 3.8 out of 5 thumbs up. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's review of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. If you want me to keep doing this, make sure you leave this in the comment section down below. And if you want me to post this on this channel, or instead if you want to post it on the old channel, then I can do that. But let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time, I'm Major Michael. I'll see you guys next time. Thumbs up.
This is just an outro.